This is the Effing Business Podcast. You ask the questions, we answer.
So let's welcome back to the podcast, everyone. So what I want to talk about today is building an employee. Obviously,
could you make an employee better?
Yeah, could you make an employee better? Can you mold
I don't think we want to
average?
Build employees.
Could you take an average employee and mold them into an excellent employee, and so on? I believe you can, but I believe it's a two-way street. I think the employee has to be willing to be, molded or listen to criticism and make change through criticism. Mm-hmm. Where instead of like, if they think they're perfect coming in, they're not going to be able to be willing or make those changes in a way that is substantial enough to see a real molding of an employee. And they may not either accept, not so much accept, but like take those changes and make a change. You know what I'm saying? Take those criticisms and make a change in, okay, my boss is telling me X, I need to be doing this a little bit differently. Let me show more effort. Let me show more, drive in this one place. This way I can change that, chip away at this part and chip away at that part like an artist would.
So I think that we should, I think the thing with employees, making them better is, employees, it's like anything else. Employees who want to improve, who want to gain more skill, who have that sort of mindset,
right,
you can work with. Employees who don't think they're doing anything wrong, employees who think they're perfect or know everything and they don't want to improve, or they don't understand that they're not receptive to learning, they're not receptive to the idea of improving, they're not receptive to the idea of always being right. It's like dragging a mule. You're not going to get very far. So like when we first started, I tried to get you to do things differently. In retrospect, it may or may have not been the right way, or I just wanted you to do things differently, and that was a giant task or challenge that I couldn't succeed at, and I think I succeeded at it when I stopped trying. Right. That's a different scenario because we were business partners. Right. Here we're technically talking about employees. So I think that's just like the most tangible example. I have a conversation with an employee recently where I was asking her to realize how she's treating the people she's surrounded by, and she's adamant that she treats everybody nicely, right? She's creating a lack of cohesiveness, and it's not the first conversation I've had with her.
Right.
And I think the problem is that people, if they're not receptive, and she might be able to argue the other way, if they're not receptive to the idea that they're doing something wrong, they can never make the improvement.
Yeah, I think we've sort of subconsciously created a way for it to happen. We have, some of our first hires were older, employees. Our first employee is probably our oldest employee to date, right? And I think we sort of learned from that, that like it's hard to teach a dog new tricks, and it was hard teaching or instituting new mold, criticizing. I don't want to say criticizing because it wasn't.
We were very young. So
we were very young.
Dynamic where like you're telling me, I know, I've been in the
right.
workforce more than you've been alive.
Exactly, we've been in the workforce, so it was on a business level, on an adjusting level. It was hard to really make any new change within that employee. We from then brought on younger. They weren't as young as we hire now, even younger than her. And then even then, it's got younger and younger where we're getting. Sometimes it's their first job for certain roles, and some for certain they have experience. They've had other jobs, but they're still young individuals. And I think, sort of subconsciously, we've created it where we hired young because of that reason. We want someone where we've talked about this. Where hey, I want someone who I don't have to really force into molding. We set up a system where they learn to be molded.
I think it works both ways. If you're not receptive to criticism, and in the nicest way possible, constructive criticism. If you're not receptive to other methods and other ways of doing things, right, you're just dragging a donkey, and you're never going to get anywhere.
No,
if you're receptive to new ideas, right? So so employees who take initiative, right? And I think there's a small percent of employees who just like they jump on an opportunity that wasn't even presented to them, right? They hear about an opportunity and they go after it, right? Those are people who don't live their life by dictates. They live their life by go and do, and they're not going. They're amenable to doing things differently, because in the end it's about doing, right? Those are the employees who you can improve. Those are the employees who go say, hey, I don't know how to do this. I want to know how to do this. Direct me, show me the right direction, right? And I think where we didn't understand when we first started, because there was so little that we knew that we were even able to teach, we brought people in who didn't who needed our training, but we didn't have training for them because we didn't know how to train them. We didn't know how to do it ourselves.
Right. You brought up a type of employee where they're not scared of showing weakness, right? So show me how to do this, right? Obviously, when an employee first comes in, they're all not. It's not scared. You're not going to know about the certain role that you're being hired for unless you've done it before. But even then, you need to know how new company's doing it. I think where maybe, again, sort of going on what we said in the last podcast about being a human and being on their level, I think that helps mold employees. I think, talking to them on a level, not talking down like like you're a dictator, right? And being dictated, this is your job, this is how you do it, and so on, where your understanding of the learning curve, your understanding of it. I think with the younger hires we've had, and hiring younger than I don't want to say older, but have more experience in the workforce or in that specific role, I think that we've found it easier and tougher. Easier because they are moldable, they're fresh plate, and you can put whatever you want on it. And harder because they've never had anything, they don't have any experience at all. So there's like that happy medium of, fresh dish, you can make it however you want and put in all the ingredients and you come out with this great dish. Or you have someone who has like some of the ingredients already, and you got to sort of mold them. And I think you find that with we've sort of found this happy medium between ages where they've been easier to mold because they have some experience, and they'd be harder to mold because they don't have any experience, and vice versa.
Agree. And I think that there's give and takes on both sides. So to me, it's not so much about how old they are, how much experience they have. Some of that matters, but I think what matters most is, are they willing to do?
Yeah.
And if there's willingness on their side, then the rest falls into place. If there's no willingness, you can't break down that barrier. And the harder you try, the more you can't. I know I'm saying all these cliches, but you can't get these people to do things. You can't get people to do things that they're uncomfortable, not willing to do, right? Or don't think it's necessary to do. And you're just fighting a losing battle. So better to find the people who are receptive, and that's not an easy task either. But find the people who are receptive, and then.
It's really
have them help you grow.
I mean, to your point, I mean, I have no problem being in front of the camera. Obviously, you know that we've done this for now 2 years, and only now, even you having some benefits from this, they can gain from it, and so on. It was still pulling, a mule to water, right? 100%. You've come around and more, and wanting to do it, and going from okay, I'll do it to I want to do it, and so on.
I don't remember that conversation, but okay, yeah.
Where you're more willing to do it or whatnot. You say, I'll do that, no problem, right. So on. Where it was be like, oh, I don't really want to do this. You can't make me. I'm not doing it, so on. You see, like, people have to be willing to have change. People have to be willing to make change. If they're not, obviously.
And you can accompany their change with them if they're willing to do that. I agree.
So I appreciate it, guys. Have a wonderful day. That's it for today.